You started noticing that your child mispronounces more words than their friends. Maybe they say biscotti instead of spaghetti. Or maybe you notice they're reading some words backwards, like reading was as saw. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. They are not, quote, growing out of it. In fact, they're beginning to hate anything associated with reading. Are these signs of dyslexia? I'm Jenny Sherson, ex-special educator turned dyslexia interventionist. It wasn't so long ago that I, too, was overwhelmed by balanced literacy versus structured literacy, education speak, and everything in between. Fast forward after many, many hours of self-driven education, and you'll see I've built a thriving dyslexia practice helping students from age 6 to 18. My specialties? Working with a quote-unquote difficult, almost always 2E, student, and breaking down the complexities of dyslexia into everyday language strategies and action steps. First, before we dig in too far, it's important to note that dyslexia is a spectrum disorder, meaning that no two dyslexics will have the exact same symptoms. One dyslexic may have mild symptoms, while their sibling may be severely dyslexic. And that brings us to another important point. Dyslexia is genetic. It runs in families. My family is a living example. In our 3 current living generations, there is at least one dyslexic in each generation. So let's dig deeper into the possible warning signs for dyslexia. Dyslexia can be identified with 92% accuracy by the age of 5.5. Let me say that again. Dyslexia can be identified with 92% accuracy by the age of 5.5. This stat comes from the National Institute of Health. You do not have to, quote, wait and see. A preschool, kindergarten-aged child with dyslexia can show the following warning signs: speech delay, difficulty rhyming, either recognizing and or producing rhymes, mispronouncing words like biscotti spaghetti example I used earlier, struggles with words or name retrieval, they can't remember the names of the kids in their playgroup, and have trouble learning which letters make which sounds. This is by far not an exhaustive list. As a dyslexic child moves into elementary school, additional warning signs can appear. It's important to note the original warning signs don't normally go away, especially if there hasn't been any language therapy or intervention. At the elementary stage, you may begin to notice the following: persistent, beyond 7.5 years old, letter confusion of similar letters like B, D, and NH, trouble hearing all the sounds in a letter, substituting words with those that look similar or they think fit the sentence, unable to sound out words, relying more and more on memorizing words, are poor spellers, and have a general dislike for anything related to reading. Without intervention, by the time dyslexic students get to middle school or high school, they hate reading. Their oral comprehension is much higher than their reading comprehension. They read slowly and often have difficulty finishing tasks that require a lot of reading or writing. For these students, writing is often a torture. They have poor spelling, organization, or sequencing skills, and sentence structure. Their writing is often not a true representation of their understanding of a topic. For students who heavily relied on their ability to memorize words during their elementary school years, they start to find around 5th or 6th grade this strategy will no longer work for them, and their grades and self-esteem starts to suffer. Again, everything presented here is not an exhaustive list of warning signs or symptoms for dyslexia. They are, however, commonly found warning signs. So let's recap. Dyslexia can be diagnosed as early as 5.5. Some of the common signs of early dyslexia are difficulty with rhyming, trouble matching letters to sounds, mispronouncing words, and word recall. In elementary school, dyslexics can have difficulty with reading words accurately, poor spelling, and relying heavily on their ability to memorize common words. By the time they reach middle school or high school, dyslexics have much higher oral comprehension skills than reading skills, lack fluency, and are terrible spellers and writers. Oftentimes, this is also the point where their grades and self-esteem tank. Now you know the common signs of dyslexia and what it may look like in your child. What do you do from here? In our next episode, we'll look at the steps to getting your child assessed and identified as dyslexic. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Literacy Untangled. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you want to continue the conversation or share your takeaways, head on over to our Instagram at Literacy Untangled and comment on your favorite part. I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Bye!